Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, I am showing you a kind of cool-looking Wobbuffet card, which is going to be coming out in our upcoming expansion, Burning Shadows. Now, he's got one attack, and it's a little clunky at times, but it could be an awful lot of fun. Now, he's got 120 HP, which is pretty good for a basic, but of course, being a basic means you can use Fighting Fury Belt to pop it up to 160. The retreat cost of 3 is not particularly pleasant, but it does mean that you can use Heavy Ball, so there's a bonus. The fact that he's a psychic Pokemon means he's hitting weakness against things like Garbodor and Espeon GX, and the fact that he's weak to Garbodor means that if you've got 3 item cards in your discard pile, Trash Volance will get a fairly easy one-hit KO. Now, speaking of his one attack, for free Psychic Energy, you do 50 damage for every colourless energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. I.e., for every retreat cost they have, this attack deals 50 damage. So, for instance, if you look at something like a Snorlax GX with a retreat cost of 4, you are doing 200 damage for free energy, which is pretty tasty. But if you're looking at something like the promo Tapu Koko that has a 0 retreat cost, you're doing 0 damage for free energy, which is in no way, shape or form a good thing. Now, the first question we really have to address here with Wobbuffet is how do we get the energy onto Wobbuffet? This has the potential to be a very good attack, a very useful attack. It's going to be one-hit KOing EXs and GXs, and I'm going to show you in a minute quite how ridiculous the damage can get on this. And it can get ridiculous. We have tricks up our sleeves. But first we need to get the energy onto him. Now, first of all, he's a basic. We've got Max Elixir. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck, find a basic energy there, and attach it to one of your benched basic Pokemon. So as long as Wobbuffet is on the bench, this will be something that he absolutely can use. I say he. I know it might not be a he. So, Max Elixir's one option. We've also got Metagross. Now, at the Birmingham Regional Championships this past weekend, I saw at least one notable player who was playing a combination of Metagross and Solgaleo GX. Now, Metagross has got a fairly fun little ability, Geotech System, which allows you to grab a psychic or metal energy from your discard and attach it to your active Pokemon. So unlike Max Elixir, this could only be used when Wobbuffet was in the active. But if you're playing a Metagross deck, and Metagross on his own did get second at the Madison Regionals this past weekend, if you've got 2 or 3 Metagross set up, you can go ahead and just get Wobbuffet going in a single turn. Although, to be fair, the Madison list of Metagross was playing Metal Energy, not Psychic. But it's an option that you have, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of Solgaleo GX, if you're playing Solgaleo GX, then you've got the GX attack Soul Burst. For 1 Metal Energy, you search your deck for 5 energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way that you like. So you can go and just search for 5 energy and get basically 2 Wobbuffets going straight away. Because at the beginning of next turn, you've got 1 Wobbuffet with 3 energy on, and 1 Wobbuffet with 2 where you just need to attach a 3rd energy. Now, this is a card that hasn't seen a huge amount of play, but you could use Lunala GX just to move your energy around. It allows you to move your psychic energy around as you like. You can move it onto Wobbuffet. And one last option I've got here is Wish Baton. Now, this is a tool card which is also coming out in Burning Shadows. If it's attached to your active, and your active is KO'd by damage, you get to move 3 basic energy from your active to one of your bench. So you could move your energy off a psychic Pokemon onto your Wobbuffet. And let's be clear, I know I've just gone through a whole bunch of options. They're all very clunky. We don't have a great way to accelerate this psychic energy at the moment, so the cost of free psychic energy, not being able to use anything like double colourless, is going to hurt. But that's not to say that the attack can't be used. It's still a fairly good attack if and when you can get it off. So let's have a look at how we can make it a very fun attack. Now, one note here that's very important before we get going. We are not actually looking at the retreat cost written on the card. That is purely our starting point. We are looking at the actual retreat cost. So we've got Team Aqua's secret base. This will increase your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat by 1, which means that you're now doing an extra 50 damage. Sounds good. We need more. We have 2 options. We've got Team Aqua's Muck, which came from the same Double Crisis set as Team Aqua's Secret Base, which will increase the retreat cost of all non-Team Aqua Pokemon. And I do mean all Team Aqua Pokemon, including yours, which makes it maybe not the best idea here. And we've got a Lowland Dugtrio, which came out in the Sun and Moon set, and a Lowland Dugtrio is probably the answer here, because he just increases the retreat cost of your opponent's active Pokemon, rather than all Pokemon on the field other than Team Aqua. So, you're not limited here to just playing one Dugtrio. So you get one Dugtrio on the bench, your opponent's retreat cost goes up by 1, your damage output goes up by 50. You play 2 Dugtrio here, and that means that your opponent's retreat cost goes up by 2, your attack goes up by 100, and of course with 4 you're doing an extra 200. And this is where we're getting really big damage here. Because with a Team Aqua's Secret Base and 4 Dugtrio, you're now doing an extra 250 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So if they've got a 0 retreat cost, you're doing 250. But if we look at something like a Wailord EX or a Snorlax GX, you're actually doing 450 damage. 200 because of the retreat cost of 4, 200 for Dugtrio, and 50 for Team Aqua's Secret Base. What's that? 450 damage, not enough? Well, you can use Choice Band to put it up to 280 or 480, depending on whether their retreat cost is 0 or 4. And then if you want nice round numbers, and I'm a man who does like nice round numbers, you can use a Professor Kukui here to actually do 300 damage to a free retreater, or 500 damage to a Pokemon with a retreat cost of 4. Now, I'm talking about the silly, over-the-top, let's do as much damage as we possibly can under perfect situation damage. Let's look at some more realistic. Decidueye GX has a retreat cost of 2, which means your Wobbuffet will be doing a base damage of 100. So we need to add 150 damage to get the KO. That is a Stadium and 2 Dugtrios. Tapu Bulu GX has a retreat cost of 3, which means you're doing a base damage of 150, which means all you need to do is add a Choice Band and you're getting a KO straight away. Snorlax GX has a retreat cost of 4, meaning you're doing a base damage of 200, and you're getting a KO regardless. So I talk about, if you've got 4 Dugtrios and Team Aqua's Secret Base, let's face it, that allows me to do 500, and it's a fun conversation of, hey, we can do 500 with Wobbuffet. And it is possible, and it's fun. But if we want to go more realistic here, really, this can be done. And there is a bonus of this, because it's not just doing extra damage. If you're using Dugtrio and you're using Team Aqua's Secret Base, you're increasing your opponent's retreat cost, which means that they're not going to be able to retreat, so they're going to need to use something like a switch or an escape rope. And if you need to buy yourself some time to get the energy onto Wobbuffet, you can Lysander something into the active, and then maybe they'll be stuck in the active because their retreat cost is going to be way too high to get out. Now, one huge downside of Wobbuffet, it can be completely defeated by a Floatstone. Doesn't matter how many Dugtrios you've got in play, if your opponent's Pokemon has a Floatstone attached, they have no retreat cost, you're doing no damage. Similarly, a Fairy Garden for a Pokemon with a Fairy Energy attached. Although it's not quite as good, Altar of the Moon will reduce the retreat cost by 2, so will remove 100 damage that you would otherwise be doing. Let's face it here, the combo is very difficult to pull off. The 500 damage is doable, but very difficult. Plus, it's going to take a lot of space in the deck. But you don't need to combo to get big KOs on most Pokemon. Here's the biggest problem for Wobbuffet. it takes free psychic energy, and that might be a little bit too much for us at the moment. So I'm going to have to give Wobbuffet 2 Wossies. But keep it in mind, because if we get a really good way to accelerate psychic energy, or you're playing a Metagross deck with psychic energy anyway, this is a good attacker under the right circumstances. It's just, if they've got a low retreat cost, you got to be messing around with Team Aqua's Secret Base and Dugtrio to do the extra damage, and at that point, it's just a little bit too clunky. So anyone out there who's saying, Ross, you hype every card, I'm not hyping Wobbuffet. I think it could be good one day. It's got potential. That's why he gets his own video. But as it stands at the moment, too clunky, and that makes me a sad panda. Now you know the deal, there is a comment section. Go nuts, be nice. Make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe to this channel, make sure you're following me on Twitter @TheWossie, and the most important thing as always, make sure you look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.